Hi everyone, I'm Lady Teddy. I'm going to be reading to you from Magium, which is a text-based choose-your-own-adventure story app that is free on both Android and iOS, and it's really good, and I highly recommend it to anyone who is interested because it's really good, and there's a lot of different paths you could take. Currently, we are doing a good, smart read-through. If you're wondering why I'm just like a cat, it's because we reached my sub goal for cat costume stream. So yeah, I'm just like a cat. I have like overalls in stockings that are all cat stuff. Yeah, so the way that this works is I'm going to be reading from it. When we get to a choice, if it's good or smart, since that's the path we're taking, I will generally make the decision for us. But if it is just a general path, or if it's just sort of conversational, I will read out loud what the options are, and if people want to participate, I'll give y'all about a minute and I'll go with whatever the majority of the chat wants to go with. If no one wants to participate, because I know a lot of people like to just fall asleep or relax, and that's totally fine, there is no pressure. If no one says anything, I will go ahead and make a choice for us. So, yeah. Without further ado, I will get to it. Who does that? Fall asleep during my stream? I don't know. I started doing this for a reason, though, and it wasn't... let me turn the music off. It wasn't because people were telling me that they listen to my streams when they want to feel awake. Did I just rub off the nose that I reapplied? No, it looks like it's still okay. Cool. Alrighty, and y'all can see it. I need to resize that though. So we're in the middle of Book 2, Chapter 8. If anyone has any questions, I know it's the middle of the story, so feel free to ask. They are traveling through the forest with their new companion, Melindra, who just hired them to kill the King of Allendor. While they were talking, Melindra eventually told them, hey, just so you know, we're about to be attacked by monsters. And then she also made it clear she had no intention of participating in the coming battle because she's hiring them to kill someone, and if they can't handle a couple monsters, then what good are they? And so far, no one really likes Melindra. She's kind of a bitch. So yeah, preparing for battle. How cold, Melindra says. I'm starting to wonder if there isn't actually some truth behind those myths that claim that there is a direct correlation between a mage's personality and their elemental affinity. Do you ever shut up? Kate says. She then suddenly conjures a shield made of ice in her hand, and she places it in front of her, just in time to block an arrow that came shooting straight towards her. For Tyrath! Shouts an orc from behind the trees in the common language as he and 4 of his companions come rushing towards us while roaring loudly in unison. All of them are green-skinned, tall as Darren, with muscular physiques, pig-like faces and fangs coming out of their mouths, just as one would expect most orcs to look like, but these ones were armed to the teeth. One of them is wielding 2 flaming, double-edged battle axes in his hands. Another one is wielding a 2-handed broadsword that is almost as big as him, and the other 3 are all using maces and shields that appear to be made from high-quality metal. The orc with the flaming axes seems to be the leader of the group. He is the one that shouted the first battle cry, and all of the other orcs followed his directions as he led the charge towards us, and as he clashed directly with Darren. Harmon, thank you so much for the first time chat. Yeah, I mean, at least their presentation comes off strong. We'll see if they actually are. Watch out! We see Layla's writing in large blue letters in front of us. They're one of the dragon's elite squads. Do not take them lightly. She then dashes behind one of the orcs that is less heavily armored, and she stabs him in the back with both her daggers. The orc roars, and he turns around swinging his mace at her. His movements are much too slow for Layla, however, so she quickly dashes back out of his reach and tries to attack him again. Layla, behind you! Kate shouts as another one of the orcs tries to position himself behind Layla in order to strike. Kate then attempts to impale the monster with a spike made of ice that appears from the ground in front of him. The orc manages to smash the icy spike with his enchanted mace, but he loses his momentum and doesn't get to attack Layla anymore, who quickly slides out of his reach. I'll take the ogres, Patrick says as he rushes towards the two ogres that were trying to jump from behind us. You personally, if you're seeing all of this, a whole U-turn? Wait, what do you mean? Can you rephrase that? In the meantime, Flower engulfs one of the orcs in a pillar of fire, but he walks out of it completely unscathed thanks to his anti-magic armor, and he starts running towards her with his broadsword at the ready. Damn it! Damn it! Flower says as she jumps out of the orc's way and rolls on the ground. Once I get a clear shot at the orc that attacked Flower, I aim my crossbow for the narrow slit in his helm, and I pull the trigger. You personally, if you're seeing all of this, you're turning around, walking the other direction. That's fair. They are specifically targeting this group, though, so it wouldn't do much good. They made enemies with the boss. Combat technique failed level 1. My aim was a little off, and the crossbow bolt didn't go exactly where I wanted, but it still hit the monster's head due to the power behind the shot. It passed right through the orc's helmet, through his skull, making him stop his movements and drop to the ground like a log. As I make sure that the orc is dead, I suddenly realize that the two goblin mages that Melindra talked about earlier have not made their appearance. Should I go look for them? If I stay here, I'm probably not going to get much use out of this crossbow against those 3 orcs using shields, and I'd rather not risk hitting Darren and Hadrick by trying to attack the monsters that they're already busy fighting. I could fight the orcs at close range, but would it be a good idea to let those mages go unchecked? I'm going to have to think carefully about this. Save. Fight the orcs and send Flower to look for the goblins. Go look for the goblin mages along with Flower and Aluna. I feel like smart could go for either of these, so if there's anyone who would like to help me make a decision here, now is your chance. Otherwise, I will make a decision in about a minute. So the way that I do this is the playthrough that we're doing is a good smart playthrough. So if it's a good or a smart decision, I will make the decision for us. But if it's not good or smart, if there's anyone that would like to participate, I will read out the options and then I'll give y'all about a minute to help me make a decision. If no one says anything, then I will make a decision, but otherwise I'll just go with whatever. Otherwise I'll go with whatever the majority of the chat says. There's no pressure either way. A lot of the people who enjoy watching these, or a lot of the people who like my reading streams like just falling asleep or relaxing, so there's no pressure to participate. Did you want to help me make a decision? Otherwise, I will probably go for... I don't really have... I'd probably try and fight. But I don't know if that would kill us or not, I can't remember. EOM Castle, thank you for the first time chat, and thank you for the bits, I appreciate you. Oh, are you gonna fall asleep? Well, thank you for joining, I appreciate you. Sweet dreams. Harmon, what do you mean? Want all the smoke? Thank you for the follow, I appreciate you. Okay, alright, I'll try and fight them. Might die, that's fine. Regardless, it's saved so I can go and change it. As I place the crossbow in my backpack, I take a quick look at the battlefield to assess the current situation. Darren seems to have his hands full, fighting the orc captain with the flaming axes. The orc appears to have completely thrown away his defense, and he is focusing on delivering relentless attacks one after another, in order to not give Darren the chance to retaliate. Hadric is still fighting the ogres behind us, and from what I can see, they are giving him just as much trouble as the ogre captain from the fort, so we'll probably still be busy with them for a while. In the meantime, Layla is fighting 3 orcs at once in an attempt to keep them away from our spellcasters, while Kate, Flower, and Aluna are all struggling to find ways to penetrate the orcs' anti-magic armor. I can't believe you people, Araka shouts from her amulet as Flower tries to aim a fireball in a way that would not hit Layla. Celtic Wolf, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate you. Welcome in, welcome in. Araka shouts from her amulet as Flower tries to aim a fireball in a way that would not hit Layla along with the orcs. You were fighting the dragon head on yesterday, but now you can't deal with a few of his lowly mooks. Are a bunch of anti-magic armors really all it takes to throw you into disarray? Yeah, I have to admit that I'm a bit disappointed here, Melindra says as she calmly looks around her at all the people who are fighting for their lives. If this is how these people handle a well-organized team of reasonably skilled combatants, I shudder to think how they will handle Allendor's numerous teams of mercenaries. Melindra's monologue appears to have caught the attention of one of the orcs that was fighting Layla, because he is now heading directly for the Stillwater girl with his mace at the ready. As soon as he reaches her, the orc swings his mace hard towards her in an attempt to bash her head in, but the girl evades his strike by floating a few inches above the ground while pushing herself away from him with a small burst of air from the palms of her hands. "Quit it!" Melindra shouts at the orc. "Fight them and not me! What are you, stupid?" The orc ignores her completely and he tries to hit her again, this time with his shield. "I said, cut it out!" Melindra shouts at him as she makes another jump backwards. She then props herself onto the ground with her feet, assuming a rather peculiar stance as she bends her knees and keeps her elbows close to her body while she faces her palm towards her attacker. A very powerful burst of air then comes out of her hands as the orc gets blown away and thrown directly towards Kate, who was just about to launch an ice cone at one of Layla's opponents. Seeing the orc flying in her direction, Kate is forced to cancel her spell and to jump out of the way in order to avoid getting knocked off her feet. "Are you trying to get us killed?" Kate shouts furiously at Melindra as she gets back up from the ground. "Hey, it wasn't my fault," Melindra says. "That orc attacked me out of nowhere when I was just minding my own business." "This is the middle of a battlefield, you fool," Kate says. "If you want to mind your own business, then fly away from here and stop sabotaging us at every step." "Well, there's no need to be so rude about it," Melindra says, as she casts a spell and she flies high into the air out of the orc's reach, while the orc that she blew away earlier goes back to fighting Layla. Strength check successful, level 3. "Flower, Aluna," I say, could you go see why the 2 goblin mages haven't attacked us yet? You should be able to find where they're hiding with a little help from Araka." "Oh, right, the goblins," Flower says. "I completely forgot about them. I think I may have actually sensed them cast a spell when the orcs attacked us. Come on, Petal, it was this way." Not long after, Flower and Aluna disappear into the woods. I decide that it is time to finally make my move. I pull my scimitar out of its sheath and I hurry towards one of the trees surrounding our area. I then use my weapon to cut the tree in a single movement, and just as the tree begins to fall, I sheath my blade and I grab the tree with both of my hands in order to use it as my new weapon. As I take a look towards the 3 orcs that were fighting Layla, all of the combatants from the battleground seem to have briefly stopped fighting to look towards me with shocked expressions on their faces. I take advantage of their momentary bewilderment to make a dash towards the 3 orcs with the maces, and I immediately crush one of them underneath the weight of the tree's trunk. "Layla, step away from the orcs," I say. Layla complies right away, and she puts as much distance as she can between herself and the 2 remaining mace-wielding orcs, although one of them immediately begins to follow her. I swing my tree-like club and I hit the orc that stayed behind from the side, completely crushing his internal organs and killing him before he hits the ground. Seeing that there is only one orc left aside from the captain, Layla stops moving away from the battlefield and she dashes straight for her pursuer, slicing his neck wide open without giving him any time to react. "Ha ha 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 ha!" Hadric laughs all of a sudden. "What a great idea! Why didn't I think of that?" He then dashes towards a tree behind him and he pulls it straight out of the ground, roots and all. As soon as he acquires his new weapon, Hadric tries to squash one of the ogres underneath its weight, but the monster simply blocks the tree with his club as the force of the blow pushes him 1 foot into the ground. Darren, you might want to move away from there, I say, as Darren jumps away from the orc captain, and I swing my tree at him in an attempt to squash him like I did with his companions. The orc does not let himself get intimidated, and he swings his flaming axes so fast that he cuts my tree into 6 pieces before it even reaches him. As the now burning pieces of wood fall to the ground beside him, the orc is looking straight at me with a very pissed off look on his face. Damn, I say as I look at the big chunk of wood that I still have left in my hands. Instead of engaging me, however, the orc captain reaches for a horn that he was wearing around his neck, and he blows it as loud as he can. As soon as he does, the orcs step back from Hadrick, and a very bright white light begins to engulf all of the monsters, while their bodies start to vibrate loudly. Achievement unlocked. Tree wielder. Crap! They're getting away! Darren says as he rushes towards the captain, but it's too late. Mere seconds after the white light appears, the orc and the ogres get teleported out of the area, quite likely alongside the 2 goblins that were hiding in the forest until now. So that's what the goblins were doing, Kate says. They didn't join the battle because they needed to be calm and collected in order to be able to cast the teleportation spell if there was a need to retreat. Where are the orcs? Flower says all of a sudden as she appears from behind the trees. Did they manage to get away? Oh, you killed 3 of them with you killed the 3 with the shields and maces. Their captain got away though, Aluna says, and so did the ogres by the looks of it. What happened to the goblins? I say. Didn't you manage to reach them in time? Whoa, Flower says, as she suddenly sees me holding a tree trunk in my hands, and she instinctively takes a step back. No, Aluna says. One of the goblins had cast a suggestion spell similar to the one Kate is using to keep enemies away from our camp. The spell wouldn't let us get near them unless we knew their exact location, because we needed to focus on it while heading towards them. We tried to get Araka to describe the scenery around them for us, but it took too long, and they eventually teleported out of the area. So where did they go? I say. Are they planning to ambush us again? I doubt it, Aluna says. From what Araka told us, she can no longer sense any monsters around us, and given the relatively wide area that she can cover with her magic sense, I am suspecting that the monsters went back to their main headquarters for now. Guys, I know we're all having fun using trees as clubs and all, Darren says, but could you please drop those trees now? You're making me nervous. Oh, right. Sure. Hadrick and I say in unison, as we both toss our trees to the side. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you avoided using trees as weapons from now on, Darren says. It's hard enough to focus on all of the enemies at once without having to also look out for where you guys are swinging those huge oversized clubs with hundreds of branches on top of them. Oh yeah, don't worry about that, Hadrick says. This was just for fun. I fight much better without using weapons. I'm not gonna lie to you though, Barry, Darren says. That was pretty impressive. Hey, thanks, I say. You weren't half bad yourself. Man, those ogres that I fought earlier were quite something, Hadrick says. I had almost as much trouble with them as I had against that ogre captain from the fort. It's a shame that they got away, though. That ogre captain seemed to know his stuff, too, judging by how long he could hold a stalemate with Darren. Yeah, I say. This is the first time when we ran into monsters that were so strong and so well organized. Layla, you said earlier that they were one of Tyrath's elite squads? Yes, Layla writes. He usually only dispatches these teams for special missions. I'm guessing that this particular group was sent here specifically to target you guys since he could no longer kill you personally due to his pact with Eden. He must have sent at least one elite group to guard each of the city's exits, but they couldn't stay too close to the city gates without being detected, so they made their ambush here in the forest. Realjet, thank you for the hydrate. Do all of the elite groups have the same team composition, or does Tyrath have the teams that does Tyrath have any teams that are stronger than these elite squads? I don't really have a preference here. So if there's anyone that would like to participate, now is your chance. Otherwise, I will make a decision in about a minute. Realjet, the reason I'm dressed up like a cat is because I have a list of sub goals, and for I believe it was 25, it was I would stream in my cat costume. So y'all made it, so here I am. Cat costume. How do I look? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I look meow meow. Well, thank you. I think. Yes. Blessed be the sealing water. That was about a minute. So, I'd probably go with this one. Do all of the elite groups have the same team composition? No, Layla writes. I do not know exactly what kind of members they have in each group, but I'm pretty sure that they also have groups with wyvern. I think wyvern is correct. Wyvern riders, and some of them also have trolls with very high regenerative abilities. Regardless of what team Tyreth decides to send after us next, Aluna says, what is most important is that we detect them before they actually have us surrounded. Araka, from now on, would you also let us know when there are groups of monsters trying to ambush us, not just invisible enemies? Do you understand? Hey, if you want my help, then how about you fight seriously next time? Areka says. What was with that ridiculous performance of yours in the fight from earlier? Why didn't you use that drowning spell technique that I taught you that I taught you on them, like you did yesterday again on the dragon. It's not like their anti-magic helmets would have prevented them from breathing water into their lungs. I've told you countless times already, Aluna says. I never managed to fully control that technique. What I did yesterday was a gamble, and I only did it because we were running out of options. And even so, I had to time my spell perfectly so I'd cast it exactly as the dragon inhaled when he was preparing to breathe his fire. This way, Tireth's lungs were already full of water before he could react. If he had any air left in his lungs, he would have simply blown some air out of his mouth and my water bubble would have dispersed into thin air. That's how little control I have over this spell. And aside from this, I can only cast it on one person at a time, and if someone breaks my concentration when I cast it, the spell will be undone in an instant. Well, then, why don't you master it? Iraka says, why did I waste my time teaching you such a useful technique if you're not even going to practice using it? Do you really hate me so much that you are willing to limit your spell arsenal just to spite me? Fine, Aluna says. If it will make you shut up, then I will start practicing the spell. Now, will you agree to warn us about monster attacks or not? Of course, Iraka says. After all, it's in my best interest that you two remain alive. At least until I manage to take control of your body. Say, Darren, I say as I look at one of the dead orcs in front of me, the armor that you're wearing right now is anti-magic armor, correct? Among other things, yes, Darren says. So why aren't you also wearing a helmet to go with the set? I say. You saw how useful those anti-magic helmets were for the orcs just now. If you're already willing to wear full heavy armor, a helmet isn't exactly going to weigh you down a lot more, is it? It's not about the weight, Darren says. It's about being aware of my surroundings. These mindless brutes might be okay with losing their peripheral vision over some extra defense, but when you're on a battlefield with enemies coming from every side, limiting your vision is the last thing any sane person would want to do. There's also the fact that this scar I have on my forehead makes me easily recognizable to most people nowadays, and when people recognize me, they usually tend to get intimidated and not engage me in battle, which helps avoid some unnecessary bloodshed. How did you get that scar anyway? Hadrick says. I never asked. And why is it shaped like an X? Is there like a monster with an X-shaped tail that I don't know about or something? No, Darren says. The X is actually formed from two separate scars that I got during the same battle. Oh? Hadrick asks, when suddenly getting more interested. Someone was actually strong enough to scar the great hero Darren twice during the same battle? May I ask who it was? It was my martial arts and enchanting master, Darren says, an ex-sage from the southern continent. Well, he wasn't a sage back then. He wasn't a sage back when he was training me, but he became one afterwards, and he lost the title in the next year. He was an extremely harsh teacher, especially when it came to martial arts. And he was the type that always tried to make you learn lessons from your own experience rather than just giving you the answer himself. As his final lesson, he told me to fight him with all my strength by using everything he's ever taught me. This is when I got my 2 scars. The first time he wounded me, I did not understand his lesson, so he decided to cut me a second time in the exact same spot from the opposite side in order to properly get his point across. Only then did I realize that the whole point that the whole purpose of that battle was to show me a huge weakness in my fighting style that I'd ignored for years without giving it much thought. The third time when he attacked me in the same spot, I was ready for him, and I quickly disarmed him, which concluded my last lesson. Now, every time I see my reflection in the water, it reminds me to always remain vigilant, and to always look out for even the tiniest weaknesses, because in a real battle they can mean the difference between life and death. Huh, Hadrick says. That's actually oddly inspiring. I think I may also have some of these small weaknesses that I never really bothered to correct because I don't consider them to be that big of a problem due to my durable giant skin. But after hearing your story, I'm thinking that maybe I should get off my arse and actually do something about it before it's too late. After all, you never know what might happen. Hey, Melindra suddenly shouts from high above. So, are you guys done with your secret strategy meeting yet? You think maybe I can come back down so we can continue our trip? No pressure, though. Take as long as you like. What are you... Darren starts to say as he looks towards Melindra, but he interrupts himself. Ugh. Yes, Melindra, you can come down now. Splendid, Melindra says as she dives down towards us, reaching the ground level in a few seconds. Just so you know, the battle you had just now with the monsters was far below my expectations. You're going to have to clean up your act if you plan to. You're going to have to clean up your act if you actually plan to be of any use to me when we get to Allendor. Listen, Melindra, Darren says, you may have taken an oath to uphold your end of the bargain, but none of us took an oath to fulfill ours. You may have forgotten about this, but we can still cancel this deal at any time if we don't want to work with you anymore. And with the way you've been acting so far, you've given us some pretty good reasons to reconsider our arrangement. So I'll tell you what we'll do. If you still want us to help you with Allendor, then you can stop complaining and lead us to where we need to go. If you don't, then I'm afraid you might have to go looking for some other group to do your dirty work. Fine, Melindra says, frowning. If that's how it's going to be, then you won't hear another word from me. She then storms in front of us, and we all begin to follow her one by one into the depths of the forest. So, I say as we all walk behind Melindra, Aluna, do you think that those 2 goblins might have been part of Furon's army? Could the goblin general be working for the dragon now? I highly doubt it, Aluna says. The dragon already has plenty of goblins under his rule. He shouldn't have any need for Furon and his free goblins. In fact, the only reason why Furon and his group have survived so long is likely because the dragon doesn't really care about them. There is no pact protecting goblins, so Tirath could very well destroy their whole camp by himself if he deemed it worthy of his time, and nobody would be able to stop him. Did Furon ever serve under the dragon before he joined the Free Goblins? How many types of monsters does Tirath have under his rule exactly? I'm inclined to go with the second option, but if anyone would like to weigh in now is your chance. Otherwise, I will be making a decision in about a minute. Okay. How many types of monsters does Tirath have under his rule exactly? I do not know the details, Aluna says, but as far as I'm aware, the monsters that are sorry. The monsters that are by far the most loyal to the dragon are the orcs. They are not as strong as the ogres, but they're not dumb like them either. And they are generally more powerful than most humans. The orcs are the main force of the dragon's army. But he also has other monsters of the humanoid variety like ogres, trolls, goblins, alongside various creatures such as wyverns and hydras. While it would also be pretty unlikely to meet an orc in Varathia that does not serve Tirath, there are plenty of ogres that have nothing to do with the dragon, like the ones we fought at the fort, and the trolls are mostly a race of mercenaries, so their allegiance to the dragon is fickle. As far as the goblins go, I'd wager that most of the goblins in Varathia still follow Tirath, although Firon has also been getting some new recruits in his camp lately. Hold on a minute there, Darren says. Who exactly is this Firon, and why are you both acting like you've met him before? Firon is the general of the Free Goblins of Varathia. Okay, and how do you guys know him? Darren says. Aluna has known him since before she met us, I think. I say, I met him while I was walking around the underground tunnels of the arena with Layla trying to sabotage the event. You were trying to sabotage Darren says, shocked, but he stops mid-sentence and he shakes his head. Oh boy, nothing is ever simple with you, is it, Barry? So, Hadrick says, I don't mean to interrupt your discussion or anything, but shouldn't we be getting a little worried about these well-trained groups of monsters going after our heads? I mean, even I was having trouble with those ogres, and from what I've seen, our spellcasters had almost no effect on the orcs that were wearing anti-magic armor. Maybe we need to rethink our strategies a bit? Well, Kate says, maybe the battle would have gone better if a certain member of the group didn't ignore the fight completely. Drop it, Kate, Darren says. This discussion won't get us anywhere, and besides, Melindra won't be a part of our group forever. Hadrick is right. We need new plans. I was way too focused on my fight with the orc captain to be able to pay attention to my surroundings, so I can't say for certain, but I think that one of the main problems in the way we organized ourselves was the fact that Layla jumped in to attack the orcs by herself, which forced our spellcasters to concentrate only on the orcs that were fighting her instead of, say, dealing with the ogres who did not appear to be wearing anti-magic armor, and who would have been easier targets for them. Sorry, Layla writes. Oh, there's no need for you to apologize, Darren says. I know you were trying to act as a decoy in order to keep the attention off of our elementalists, and that's a great tactic, but it just didn't work well for this situation. That's why we're having this discussion, in order to learn from our mistakes and to improve our tactics for later. For example, maybe next time you want to act as a decoy, you could try to keep your distance from your enemies instead of actually engaging them in battle, so that you wouldn't put yourself into any immediate danger, which would allow our casters to also pay attention to the rest of the battlefield without feeling obligated to jump to your aid. Okay, I'll try, Layla writes. Also, Darren says, the next time Hadrick says he'll handle the ogres, it doesn't mean that you need to let him handle them all by himself. He may be strong enough to not get himself killed, but if either one of you helped him kill those ogres, he could have made mincemeat out of the orcs without breaking a sweat. And when I say either one of you, I'm talking especially about you, Kate. A few well-placed ice cones should have been enough to finish off those A few well-placed ice cones should have been enough to finish off those ogres, given how busy they were fighting Hadrick. I know Layla is your friend, but you can't just completely ignore your surroundings every time she is in danger. If we're going to fight as a team from now on, you're going to need to put a little more faith in her fighting capabilities. I understand, Kate says. Melindra says as she turns around, suddenly appearing to gain an interest in our conversation. That is some very good advice coming from someone who hasn't been paying attention to his surroundings. Maybe I've been underestimating you a bit. Of course it's good advice, Darren says. I haven't spent the last 20 years fighting monsters for nothing. Also, didn't you say earlier that we wouldn't hear another word from you? Why are you going and talking to us all of a sudden? Melindra says, as she turns around. I wasn't talking to you. I was just thinking out loud. There's no reason for me to talk to any of you people. Lordos, hello, welcome in. You guys reached the sub goal for cat costume stream, so here I am for a cat costume stream. You guys are actually super close. I didn't expect you guys to get this close, but I think I've gotten 1 or 2 subs during this, and at the beginning of my stream, there's only 8 away from Poison Ivy. When am I gonna do sexy potato costume? As soon as someone buys it for me. Or eventually I'll make one, because that sounds like a fun costume to try and make. Right now on the list is, for this month, was Cat and Poison Ivy. I'm thinking next time I might do my pirate costume, which I'm trying to make into like a Jacqueline Sparrow. I made hair ornaments and everything. This is Teddy and her orange and her origin story. The sexy potato? Oh, the ASMR Magium streamer. Well, it's been going on for a little bit now. I was just talking to someone this morning about how I should actually look into learning how to do accents and stuff. Does this mean that you won't show me your rock collection anymore? Flower says with a disappointed tone in her voice. Well, Melindra says, I suppose I could make an exception. Just this once. Come here, and we'll pick up from where we left off. I'm so bad at accents. Also, I don't want to mess up the reading stream. Maybe I'll do it some other time. As Flower rushes again to Melindra's side, we all continue our journey through the forest, and for the next few hours, we do not get any more interruptions. For the duration of our journey, Melindra has not spoken again to anyone other than Flower, and the rest of us mostly ignored her as well. While we walked, we sort of split ourselves into little groups, with Kate and Layla in the back, Hadrick, Darren, and I in the middle, and Flower and Melindra in the front. It seemed that Kate and Layla had a lot of catching up to do, so we decided not to bother them and to let them have a little privacy. On the opposite side of the group, once Melindra had finished showing Flower the rocks, she began to ask her a lot of technical details about how her fusion with Aluna actually works. Some of the questions were more personal than others, but it didn't seem like Flower had been bothered by them in any way, and she answered them all without any hesitation, while Melindra was eyeing her with a look of sincere and eager curiosity. When it got past noon, we decided to have a break near a river in order to eat some meals, fill our gourds with fresh water, and gather some fruits so that Flower could conserve some of her magical energy by not creating food every time we needed to eat something. It would have been nice if the water that Aluna conjures were actually drinkable, because then we wouldn't have to worry about finding sources of fresh water, but from what she told me, the water that she creates with her spells disappears by itself after a while, so we might as well be drinking empty air. After I finished eating, I sat down on a rock and I pulled out my notebook to see if I could find any more of Eden's loopholes while we were resting. While I was calmly flipping the pages of my notebook, I could see with the tail of my eye how Melindra was slowly closing in on me, although she seemed to have conflicting feelings about whether she wanted to talk to me or not, and she went back and forth a few times before she finally decided to stop in front of me. So, Barry, was it? Melindra says with an obviously forced smile, attempting to appear cute and approachable. How are you this fine day? I see that you finally bothered to learn my name, I say as I casually flip a page from my notebook without raising my eyes to look at her. Yes, your name is easier to remember than the others, Melindra says. It is indeed. Is this part of where you make fun of how common my name is? That's funny, because you were calling me half Lasathi just a few hours ago. I am inclined to go with this one because I think it's funny, but if there's anyone that would like to participate, I don't think any of these are good, smart, inclined, so now is your chance. I will give y'all about a minute. Oh, it's 11:11 here. Everyone make a wish. Oi, Mummy, it's Tuesday, innit? Mummy, can I have a pot of water? It's a bit too early to go to the loo. Oi there, mate. A bit rude of you to put a knife in my chest, innit? How was that? Thank you. You one of them British cat ladies? British? Okay. Is this the part where you make fun of how common my name is? I say, not taking my eyes off my notebook. What? Melindra says, looking genuinely confused. No, I didn't even know your name is common. Listen, I don't even care about your name. I only used it because that way it would give the impression that I care, so you'd have more of a reason to talk to me. I see, I say in a disinterested tone. So, anyway, Melindra says, I was curious about something. I know that you're a half Lasathi, and I also know that you came here as a participant in the tournament, but as far as I'm aware, Lasathi can normally only be found in the continent of Varathia. So I was wondering who your parents are exactly, and why did they leave this continent? Doesn't care about the name unless it's orange. Well, I think you're the only one who doesn't care about the name unless it's orange. If you're talking about my real parents, then I most likely never met them, I say. I'm pretty sure that the parents who actually raised me were both regular humans. They were regular humans? Melindra says, intrigued. Not are? No, I say simply. They're dead now. They were killed by a banshee. As I say these words, Darren, who is sitting on a rock not far from me, sharpening his sword, now seems to be paying a little more attention to our discussion. I suddenly realize that I never really told him how I met my first banshee. Killed by a banshee, Melindra says. And you weren't there when this happened? I was there, I say. I'm the one who killed her. You killed a banshee by yourself, Melindra says, but the only way someone as powerless as you could ever hope to defeat a banshee would be to attack her in the most vulnerable state right after the awakening, which means she pauses for a second as the realization dawns upon her, which means that the person who turned into a banshee was also part of your family, wasn't she? Melindra says. Your sister, perhaps? Cousin? Sister, I say. And you killed her with your own hands? Melindra asks, with a look of morbid curiosity in her eyes. How did the banshee look when she awakened? Did she really look like a genuine monster like they say in the legends? What about your sister? Did it seem like she still retained a part of her consciousness before the awakening process was over, or was she completely gone? Listen, Melindra, I say as I close my notebook and finally look her in the eyes. If we're going to be delving into subjects that we're uncomfortable to talk about, then I have a few questions for you. I then lower my voice in order to make sure that Darren can no longer hear me talking. For starters, I say, why did you lie to us when you said that the reason you weren't helping us fight the orcs was because you wanted to test us? I don't know what you're talking about, Melindra says, feigning ignorance. I didn't lie about anything. Oh, I say, so you're saying that after spending more than a week in search of someone who could help you kill the King of Allendor, you were going to waste your only chance just like that because we weren't able to hold our own against one of Tyrath's strongest teams of combatants? I already told you, Melindra says. Allendor's defenses are no joke. If you think that some elite team of monsters can compare with what is to come, then you are sorely mistaken. Okay, I say, then let me ask you something else. Why exactly did you need to bend your knees and to keep your elbows close to your body when you cast the spell that blew away the orc who was attacking you? Because, as far as I'm aware, that stance is what they teach novice elementalists that are at the very beginning of their training in order to help them better control their powers when they are still getting accustomed to them. Are you still getting accustomed to your powers after 600 years, Melindra? Melindra starts to say, but she hesitates and I interrupt her. Or is it perhaps that Araka was speaking literally when she said that you don't know how to hold back? I say, those crazy Stillwater powers must surely come with some sort of drawbacks, no? I would expect someone like Eden, who knows all the ins and outs of magic, to find a way around such a problem, but you don't seem like the type. You still haven't learned how to control your Stillwater powers properly, have you? It's too much for you to handle, and you're afraid that you'll accidentally put too much power behind one of your spells and blow us all away, while also killing yourself in the process because of the oath you made. No, you're wrong, Melindra says. The only reason why I used that stance was because I was still tired after casting that tornado earlier, and I wanted to be extra safe. Yeah, I'm not buying it, I say. I know how elemental magic works. Being tired should only affect your concentration, and there's no need to concentrate on how powerful your spells are. Once you've mastered the basics, admit it. There would have been no reason for you to use that stance if you didn't have trouble controlling your powers. Melindra frowns at me, but she doesn't say anything. What I don't understand is why you would purposely avoid telling us about it. I say, do you really care about your image that much? Is it really so important for you to be known as this perfect, all-powerful Stillwater that can do no wrong, that you'd be willing to risk this entire mission? I swear, Melindra says with a menacing look in her eyes, if you plan on telling anyone about this. You'll what? I ask her. Pat me slightly on the back, caress me softly. Because that's about the most you can do to me after that vow you made. I bet you must be regretting your decision to make that oath. No. You must be regretting your decision to make that oath life-binding now, huh? A little, Melindra says. Relax, I tell her. I don't have any reason to tell anyone about this. I don't have any reason to tell anyone about this. It's not like you could help us if you wanted to. If you want to appear as even more unlikable than you already are, then who am I to stop you? Oh, Melindra says with the smile of a child who's found a new toy to play with. So you find me unlikable, do you? Hey, Teddy. I'm just checking back into the stream. You're running a dungeon, still lurking. Alright, well, have fun. Thank you for the lurk. I appreciate you hanging out as long as you have been. quite unlikable. Yes, I say. And you don't enjoy talking to me, Melindra says. Not really, no, I say. Well, in that case, I see no alternative than to keep pestering you until you begin to find me likable, Melindra says with a coy smile. That's not how these things work, I say. Teddy, Lordos wants to know why you don't ever call him cutie. What are you talking about? Melindra says, still smiling. Of course it's how it works. You're a half Lasathi, I'm a half Lasathi, we're both half Lasathi. What possible reason could you have to dislike me? Oh, I don't know, I say. Maybe your personality. Hey, Melindra, Darren says as he closes in on us. We're all ready to go. Can you show us the way? Oh, sure, Melindra says. Just follow the river in that direction for a while, and you'll be fine. We'll catch up to you in a second. I think that Teddy's gone to lurk. Maybe he just doesn't think you're a cutie. Maybe he's not a fan of the color green. Okay, I guess, Darren says, and then he turns to the others. Well, you all heard her. Let's follow the river. Darren and the rest of the group then grab their backpacks, preparing to leave, and as they go past us, I see Kate glancing at us a little suspiciously. So, about your parents, Melindra starts to say, but I don't wait for her to finish her sentence, and I go... So, about your parents, Melindra starts to say, but I don't wait for her to finish her sentence, and I go to follow the others while I put my notebook back into my backpack. Hey, I wasn't done talking yet, Melindra says as she hurries to my side. Oh, you weren't? I say in a dry tone. Sorry, I wasn't listening. Well, in that case, I accept your apology, Melindra says, seemingly oblivious to the sarcastic undertone of my previous remark. So anyway, I was thinking that one of your parents might have been part of the Lasathi top brass, or at least related to them in some way. What makes you say that? You really weren't kidding about pestering me, were you? I feel like Smart Berry would go for the information-seeking response. And Good Berry too, but if anyone would like to make an argument on why I should go for the second option, now is your chance. Otherwise, I will make a decision in about a minute. Okay. What makes you say that? What do you mean? Well, marrying a non-Lisathi is strictly prohibited in today's Lisathi society. Is that what she said in the previous screen? I wasn't paying attention. I mean, I was, but I don't remember. No, marrying a non-Lisathi is strictly forbidden in today's Lisathi society, Melindra says, so it stands to reason that any such relationships will remain hidden from the eyes of the other Lisathi. This is the reason why you don't see any more half-Lisathi nowadays. However, if a Lisathi woman were to become pregnant with the child of a non-Lisathi, such a relationship would become much more difficult to hide. I think that the reason why your parents left this continent was because they considered it to have been too difficult to keep hiding after your mother became pregnant with you. Okay, but why would they be related to the top brass, I say? Because the only people that have access to teleporting devices on this continent are the kings and the Lisathi, Melindra says. And those teleporters are the only way to leave the continent. Since only the highest ranked Lisathi have access to the Lisathi teleporters, it means that your mother needed to ask help from one of them. Oh my gosh, Urkamus, thank you so much for the raid. Wow. Welcome in, everyone. And let me pause the recording. All right, continuing. Because the only people that have access to the teleporting devices on this continent are the kings and the Lisathi, Melindra says, and those teleporters are the only way to leave the continent. Since only the highest-ranking Lisathi have access to the Lisathi teleporters, it means that your mother needed to ask help from one of them, and if she wanted to leave, and they would need to do it secretly. Maybe you're even related to the leader of the Lisathi. I'm guessing you were born around 30 years or so ago, so the leader back then would have been Hexel. Yeah, that was the name. I think he might have died since then, though. Or was he killed? I'm not sure. I don't really follow Lisathi politics that much anymore. Can you two stop talking and focus for a second here? Darren says. I can sense a group of mages approaching us, and I'm not sure if they're friendly. Keep your guards up. It takes a while before the mages show themselves, but it would appear that they are yet another group of weapon enchanters. They don't really look like thugs, so who knows? Maybe this time we could just say hello and then be on our way, like civilized people. I know that I'm being optimistic here, but still. Hey, look at that, one of the weapon enchanters says. These bozos have brought whores with them to the tournament. Wow, you're right, the second mage says. They even made sure to bring at least one for each of them. You think that little girl was brought by the dwarf? Says the third mage. That sick bastard. All of a sudden, Melindra grabs my arm with both of her hands and she presses herself against me. Darling, are you going to let them talk about me like that? Melindra says with pleading eyes, but with a mocking smile. You're not going to let them walk away after calling me a whore, are you? When I turn my head around, I notice that Kate is currently staring at Melindra with a shocked expression on her face. Melindra says, with an intrigued look in her eyes, as soon as she sees Kate staring at her. She then squeezes my arm even harder while she's still looking at Kate to see her reaction. Once Kate realizes what Melindra is doing, she turns her face away in disgust. Melindra says, this time with a smile. Don't worry, love, the first mage tells Melindra. We're not walking away anywhere. At least not until you guys empty your pockets and your backpacks to show us if you have any pine cones with you. Are you serious? Darren says, almost breaking into a laugh when he says that last word. Patrick says, guess not every mage in the world can recognize you by your scar, eh, Darren? That or they just don't care, Aluna says. They were mad enough to join this tournament after all. We don't have time for this, Kate says, as she stops hiding her aura and she shoots 3 ice daggers in front of the first mage's feet. Ah! The mage screams like a little girl. And with a terrified look in his eyes as he finally understands the situation he's in. A banshee? It's a banshee! What are you guys standing here for? Run for your lives, you idiots! Run as fast as your feet can carry you! He then jumps over the small river, and he heads into the forest as all of his companions hurry to follow their leader. Are you going to let go of my arm now? I ask Melindra. Of course, Melindra says as she casually releases my arm. There's no need to be so upset. It was only a joke. That's lovely, I say. Now how about you take the lead like before and leave me alone? Will you come and walk by my side if I go and take the lead? Melindra says. I will do no such thing, I say. Then I'll stay here, thank you very much, Melindra says. Whoa, Hadrick says, with a grin as he looks towards us. Did something happen during that last break we took earlier, Barry? Do you have anything that you might want to tell us? Shut up, I tell him. Leave them alone, Darren tells Hadrick. I'm sure that Melindra will get bored eventually, and then things will go back to normal. We already know the direction that we need to go in, so we don't need a guide for now. Come on, follow me. Just like Darren said, after about an hour or 2 of walking, Melindra finally got bored of pestering me, and she went to talk with Flower, who appears to be the only member of the team that she actually gets along with so far. We spent the rest of the day traveling without getting into any more fights, although we did run into several groups of mages who seemed to be very busy gathering pine cones from trees and stuffing them into their backpacks. When we decided that it was finally time to make camp, we started placing our tents not too far away from the river. That we'd been following since noon. Melindra didn't really seem to want to spend time with our group any longer than she needed to, so as soon as she was done leading us, she went to the riverbank to see if she could find some more rocks to add to her collection. As soon as we were done setting up the tents, I immediately went to pull out my notebook because there were a few things that I wanted to check before going to sleep. When I flipped through the pages, I suddenly noticed an old page where I wrote some notes about the... As soon as we're done setting up the tents, I immediately pull out my notebook because there were a few things I wanted to check. Grimlinda, welcome in. Good to see you. I appreciate you. Thank you. A few things I wanted to check before going to sleep. While I flipped through the pages, I suddenly noticed an old page where I wrote some notes about the stat device, and one particular phrase catches my attention. According to my old data, the stat booster was supposed to gather more energy from the air if powerful spells were cast around it, but I've never actually seen this happen since I came to Varathia. Realizing that I may need more info on the subject, I decide to go ask some questions of the only other person in the camp that has more knowledge of stat devices than me. As I go over to Layla, I notice that she was still in the middle of a conversation with Kate. Hey, Layla, I say, got a minute? There was something I wanted to ask you about that stat device. Your stat device. Of course, Layla writes. Since when were you the studious type? Kate asks me while raising an eyebrow after seeing the notebook that I'm still holding in my hands. I've never seen you use that notebook before, but now you seem to be reading from it all the time. Oh, I used to write in this notebook every day before coming to Varathia, I say. It's just that I kind of had to put that hobby to the side for a while because I was too busy fighting for my life in this godforsaken place. You were going to ask me something about the stats? Layla writes. Yeah, I say. I wanted to know if you've ever felt like your stat device was receiving more energy from the air after a big mage fight had occurred in your vicinity. Not in particular, no, Layla writes. I mean, we just had that big fight with the dragon yesterday, and none of us got any stat points. Yeah, exactly, I say, but according to the data I'd gathered before coming here, the stat device should not be gathering the energy selectively. And yet, I don't remember ever getting stat points after participating in a mage battle. Do you know why this might be happening? I don't know, Layla writes. I hadn't really thought about it that much. Well, I have a theory, I say, but I'm not exactly sure how accurate it is. You see, there was a time when I got to temporarily activate my hidden magical stats, but I only got the option to do it because there was a great amount of magical energy in the air around me at the time. The fact that the makers of the stat device included an option to quickly burn through the available energy makes me think that the energy would have been wasted otherwise because the device wouldn't have been able to convert it all into stat points fast enough. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Yes, Layla writes. The energy residue from the spells does not stay in the air very long after they've been cast. So if the stat device cannot convert the energy fast enough, and if it does not have enough capacity to store it for later use, this would mean that in reality, most of the energy that the device is getting is not from spells, but from mage auras. Oh, Grimlinda, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know if you were here when I explained what was going on. I met a sub-goal. I have a list of sub-goals that are in my About section, and we met the one for a cat costume stream. So, cat costume. Yeah, I'm happy with how my makeup turned out. So thank you. I appreciate you. That's what I was thinking, I say. But since the device can only extract a very low amount of energy from each person's aura at a time, that means what really matters is not how powerful the people are, but how many mages there are within a stat booster's radius, which, if I'm not mistaken, should be about 30 miles, give or take. There would likely need to be hundreds of mages within the device's range for the conversion stats to have any noticeable effect. That would sort of explain why the number of points I've been receiving have slowed down lately, because a lot of the mages have died since the beginning of this tournament. But it still wouldn't explain why we've been receiving fewer points while we were in the city. Maybe it's because there were other people with stat devices gathered in Thilius, Kate says. Surely you couldn't be the only people to come up with the idea of bringing one with you to this place. And if you didn't know that the stat device would be mostly useless to people without Lisathi blood running through their veins and if you didn't know that stat devices would be mostly useless to people without Lisathi blood running through their veins, then there would likely be others like you who didn't know that either. I guess you make a good point, or maybe other mages have been staying away from Thilius for some reason. Don't forget that there were also Lisathi in the city. Sort of what I'm leaning towards too. I'll still give y'all a minute because I need a break for my voice. Yeah. If anyone would like to weigh in, now is your chance. Otherwise, we will be going with the last one. Mike, hello, welcome in. How you doing? A lot of lurkers. That's okay though. Don't forget that there were also Lisathi in the city. The Lisathi we fought did not have any stat devices with them, Layla writes. Even if they were hiding them somewhere, I should have still been able to detect them with the help of my own device. Also, one of those Lisathi came to threaten me while I was still in my cell, and he wasn't carrying a stat device back then either. A Lisathi threatened you? Kate asks. Yes, Layla writes. He was trying to convince me to hand over my stat booster to him, but I refused to do it. He later ordered the arena owner to confiscate it from me, but the owner decided not to listen to him because he wanted me to keep my stat device in order to make the fight more interesting. I just remembered that there was something else that I wanted to ask you about the stat device, I say. Thank you, Grimlinda. I've been working on it. I appreciate that. I just remembered that there was something else that I wanted to ask about the stat device, I say. Layla, you told me that you had level 3 in both strength and speed, but when you were fighting in the arena, you didn't seem to be much stronger or faster than that troll with high regeneration. Is your chance defective by any chance? No, Layla said. My father once told me that the physical stats from the device enhance the physical abilities that you already have, and that the more fit you are physically, the more effect those stats will have on you. Given that I've always had a very frail constitution, this is the most I can get out of my stat device at my current levels. Huh, I say. Well then, I guess that all those months I spent doing physical training in preparation for this tournament were not wasted after all. You did physical training, Kate says, shocked. And this is the result? I bet I could beat you in an arm wrestling match if I tried hard enough. I said that I only did it for a few months. I tell Kate. I said that I only did it for a few months, I tell Kate, and it's not like that was the only thing I did. And it's not like that was the only thing I did during that time. I also needed to do my research, the research that I'm now using to figure out Eden's weaknesses, so that we can finally... Hold on a second. Where's Melindra? I swear that I saw her by the riverbank just a minute ago. Who cares about Melindra? Kate says. Well, I didn't see her set up a tent. I say, do you think she's not planning to spend the night at our camp? Melindra can go sleep in the river, for all I care, Kate says. It's not like she's going to help guard the camp anyway. Which reminds me that I should be preparing to take the first shift. You guys go get some sleep. Neither of you are scheduled to take any shifts tonight, so you might as well enjoy your rest. How long have you been following our leader? Am I the leader now? I thought I was just a faulty captain. We decide to take Kate's advice and we each head towards our tent. Once I get inside, I place my notebook in my backpack and I prepare to go to bed. I still have some stuff that I want to read, but I can do that in the morning. Oh, Mike, thank you very much. Lourdes, there is a way for me to check that, just so you know. If you have my chat open, your name will show up in the watcher list. Govna? It only takes me about a minute to fall asleep after I put my head on the pillow. I am, however, woken up barely an hour later by the feeling of a pair of breasts slowly pressing themselves against my chest. As I quickly open my eyes to find out what's going on, I see that Melindra is currently trying to squeeze herself inside my tent, right next to me. But due to the relatively small area available inside, she's having a bit of trouble fitting in. What the? I start to say, but I get interrupted by Melindra quickly shushing me and putting her index finger on my mouth. Shh, Melindra whispers. You're going to wake up the others. Hold on, let me cast a silencing spell on the area around us. She then quickly whispers an incantation, and the sound of the crickets that I've been hearing until now suddenly stops, along with every other sound that is coming from outside the tent. There, Melindra says in a louder voice with a triumphant look on her face. Now we can talk normally. Nobody outside the tent should be able to hear us. What are you doing here? I ask her as I slide myself to the opposite end of the tent in the little space that is available to me. How did you even get here? Isn't Kate the one keeping watch right now? Four months? Wow. Check it, I ain't scared. A birthday post? No, I don't think that was me. My birthday's in January. Just some random gremlin occasionally pop in here, causing mischief. Don't normally cause too much mischief, but I always enjoy you popping by. Wait, what? Wait, what? Sounds like those orange people. I don't care if you've heard of them and their tomfoolery. Sounded disgusted. I have a feeling that's not true and you're just trying to give me shit because that is something that you do. I'm on to you. I know that no matter what I say or what I do, you will always act as if you think that I hate you, and I don't. Yeah, 4 months. I didn't realize it'd been 4 months. Thank you for the following for 4 months. Almost like more than halfway to 5 months. How did she even get in here? Isn't Kate the one keeping watch right now? Mitch Thomas, thank you for the first time chat. Welcome in, welcome in. Hello from California. Oh, getting inside unnoticed was easy, Melindra says. I just had to cast an invisibility spell, and when I opened and closed the tent, and then I opened and closed the tent at a moment when the ice mage wasn't looking. An invisibility spell? I say. You mean the one that also masks your aura? Yeah, that's the one, Melindra says. Eden is the one who taught it to me. Ah, fellow Canadian. Hello, I'm with my hockey team. We all say hello. Hello! How are you all doing? Do you like being read to? You like this chat tonight. I'm glad to hear. Oh, I just smudged my nose. It's not too bad. Oh well. Okay, I say. So I've learned how I've learned how you are here, but you still haven't told me why you are here. What do you want? And why couldn't this wait until morning? Well, you see, Melindra says, when I checked out the inside of my backpack this evening, I found out, to my dismay, that I'd forgotten to pack a tent before I left Thilius. You've got to be kidding me, I say, and you couldn't just ask Darren or Hadrick to loan you a tent? I don't know if you've noticed, Melindra says, but I haven't really been getting along very well with most of the members of your group since we left the city. And your solution was to come and wake me up in the middle of the night? I say. You just finished hockey practice. Sounds like fun. I've always thought that hockey looked like a lot of fun. You got a question but don't want to distract me from the reading? Shoot. I generally go back and forth between chat and reading. But thank you for waiting. That's how the best hockey teams warm up. Watch ASMR Magium streams. So that's how you picture it. Yeah, because what I do is extremely common from what I've seen. We have a new guy on the team, a rookie. What should we do to him for a rookie prank? I do not have enough context on Canadian hockey rookie pranks. Can you give me some examples and maybe I'll come up with something? Like previous pranks that you guys have done. No, not judging or anything. I used to play rugby, so I understand hazing. We never really pranked each other, though. But we definitely did kind of mess with each other, so I get it. Oh. So nothing specific. Hmm. Oh, you. I mean, I feel like wedgies, swirlies, and all of that, those would be kind of spur of the moment, right? You don't really discuss what you're gonna do to them before you do it. Hi, Jake. How's it going? I'm Teddy. You should have him play Resident Evil 2 for a prank. Are you saying that Resident Evil 2 wasn't good? Because I'm enjoying Resident Evil 2, Lordos. For a hazing prank that's a little more elaborate, I would have him, I don't know, wear his skates on the opposite feet so that it's difficult to stay balanced or something during practice. Maybe not the entire practice, I don't know. That's probably not good for the skates. It's a bad idea. Just something to like mess, I don't know, wear sunglasses. Without picking up a gun, knife only? No. That would take way too long. I have not witnessed a swirly. I think my brother may have given me one when we were younger, but we're friends now, so that doesn't happen anymore. I know what it is, though. Hmm. It's part of the culture, I'm assuming. In rugby, there's some really intense camaraderie, even though we mess with each other a lot. Oh, I think I may be thinking of swirly is the wrong thing. That's like the toilet thing, right? No, that never happened to me. I've never seen that happen. I was thinking of like I think a wet willy. Don't do that. That's mean. That's dangerous. Could actually like choke and hurt themselves. Um, yeah, I'd go with duct taping them to something. Make them practice. Make them practice without pants. Yeah, I do know what wedgies are. Sure. Tape them to a wall and then like eat donuts in front of him. Fresh ones so you can smell them and it's just terrible. Good luck, Jake. I'm sorry. Thanks for stopping by, guys. At least you'll be sharing. Jake from State Farm. I wasn't trying to wake you up, Melindra says, frustrated. Your tent is just so damn small. I only wanted to sleep inside your tent for a few hours and then get out before you woke up. Hell, I even tried to sleep outside for a while, but there were just so many bugs trying to crawl on me, and the only protection spells I have that work while I sleep aren't made to guard me against insects. But why my tent? I say. Why not flowers? Or Kate's? Because I couldn't stand sleeping next to Araka for more than 2 seconds, Melindra says, and your girlfriend hates my guts. Kate is not my girlfriend, I say. Well, she may well be, judging by that ice-cold look she gave me when I grabbed you by the arm, Melindra says. Is that what you're basing your assumption on? I say. Kate gives ice-cold looks to everyone. Except maybe Layla. If you're under the impression that the Ice Mage doesn't have any feelings for you whatsoever, then you are clearly in denial. Listen, I say, Kate has lived most of her adult life in the wilderness, fighting for her life. The only contact she's had with humans for the past 10 years was either banshee hunters trying to kill her or regular people trying to run away from her, scared for their lives. She probably doesn't even know what feelings are. She probably doesn't even know what feelings are anymore. Kate didn't come here to have fun, and neither did I. She came here to look for her friend, and I came here to fight in a deadly tournament, in the hopes of achieving an impossible dream. Whatever you are seeing, it's not there. Well, whatever helps you sleep at night, Melindra says. And speaking of sleeping, I think I'm ready to hit the sack. If you need anything else from me, just whistle. Nighty-night. Are you serious, I tell Melindra, as I see her laying her head on the tent's floor and closing her eyes. You can't sleep here. Rip off a nice small piece of clear tape and ever so gently snug it up right on the middle of his skate blade, or... Grimlinda, what's the or? I'm waiting. Saved him from a wedgie and a swirly. he should thank me. Well, you're welcome from saving you from those, but I feel like the donut torture might be pretty bad. Why not? Melindra asks. Because it's my tent, I say. And? Melindra says while raising an eyebrow. The tent is clearly big enough for both of us. It will be a little uncomfortable, but we'll manage. Surely you don't hate me so much that you can't even stand to be near me. It's not that, I say. It's just that I don't want us to be sleeping in the same tent together. That would only be making things weird. Oh, ho, ho, Melindra says. Now I get it. Well, that's fair enough, I guess. We are sharing a tent after all. Yes, exactly, I say, so hurry up and... Wait, what are you doing? While I was talking, Melindra was just about to take off her blouse. What do you mean, what am I doing? Melindra asks, confused as she stops removing her blouse halfway. I was taking my clothes off. Isn't that what you were suggesting? That it would be weird if we were sleeping together without actually sleeping together? No, I say. I mean, yes, but I meant it in the sense that you should get out of the tent. Oh? Melindra says while raising an eyebrow again. So you're telling me that you don't want to have sex with me then? I didn't say that. Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. Alright, I'm gonna be straight with you guys right now. If you say, I didn't say that, they will have sex. And that will make it so you cannot pursue Kate and Layla as romance options. So if you were wanting to pursue Kate or Layla for romance, then you cannot say this. But if you would like to pursue Melindra as a romance option, she's more into like exclusive fuck buddies, but that's, yeah. And it might piss off Kate, but still. It's getting hot. Do it, bro. So you don't want to pursue Layla or Kate. I'm actually not sure if you can pursue Kate because we already slept with Rose, but then Rose died. So she's not longer there. So I'm pretty sure you can pursue Kate. You could definitely pursue Layla, and Layla is best girl in my opinion. But I've never pursued Melindra, and I do think she's entertaining. I mean, I let Rose die. I knew it was going to happen, and I didn't persuade you guys to do anything else. Partially because there's a thing that's happening later on that I wanted to happen that I've never, in any of my playthroughs, has never happened. Okay. So, follow my heart then? Well, it's your guys' playthrough too, and I've already pursued Layla. So, now is your chance. Would you guys like to pursue Melindra? The sex scene is pretty hot. Oh, no, Layla is my favorite. She's so sweet. She's such a cutie. I'm just saying that if you sleep with Melindra now, Layla and Kate will not want to do anything with you later on. I mean, romantically. They'll still be your friend, but that's it. I don't know, Lordos. What would Lordos do? And if you guys want to catch up on where the story's at now, you guys can always go to my YouTube channel and watch all the previous videos, or play it yourself. Because I always want to support the author. Hook up with Melindra. I didn't say that. Well, what did you say then? Melindra says. I was just. Ugh. Are you even being serious right now? Because with you, it's very hard to tell. Of course I'm being serious, Melindra says. Why wouldn't I be? It's not like I'm some maiden who was born yesterday. I know I may look 19 years old, but I've been living for 600 years. I've been with other men before, and it's not like I have any reason to not want to sleep with you, specifically. I don't particularly dislike you. We're both half Lasathi, and you are halfway decent looking. Well, slightly leaning towards the lower half, but still sort of half. You get what I mean. I can't tell if you're trying to compliment me or if you're just insulting me right now, I say. Look, Melindra says, the bottom line is that there is nothing stopping us from having some fun for a few hours then calling it a day. There isn't even a need for me to drink the tea of infertility because still waters are still. There isn't even a need for me to drink the tea of infertility because still waters are sterile and can't have children. And the silencing spell will still be good for a few hours, so it's not like anyone will be able to hear us. It's the perfect situation. Except for the small tent, that is, but nothing is perfect. Teddy with a Y. I'm Teddy with an I. They're Teddy with an I. Or Teddy. I'm Teddy with an I. They're Teddy with a Y. You just downloaded Magium and then Googled White Wolf, which makes D&D type RPG games, but werewolves and vampires. Interesting. Cool. And somehow Plenty of Fish dating app pops up first. Why? Because obviously werewolves and vampires are hot. Great. I'm glad I could help you find the answer. You know what? I say. You're right. I don't know what I was stressing about. Let's give it a shot. That's more I like it, Melindra says. Oh, but I do hope you won't mind if I cast an energizing spell on you before we begin. It's just that I've had men run out of steam after only a few minutes before, and I wouldn't want to repeat the experience. Well, as long as the spell doesn't have any unwanted side effects, I say. Oh, there's no need to worry about that, Melindra says. There are no side effects, that I know of. And besides, I will also be casting it on myself, so it's not like you will be the only one affected by it. Anyway, get ready. I'm casting the spell. Yeah. Is magic Viagra a thing? As soon as Melindra is done casting the spell, I immediately start to feel the energy flowing all throughout my body. I feel as if I could run up and down a mountain and then still have enough energy left to do 1,000 push-ups. The spell is amazing, but it's very likely putting quite a strain on my body, so it probably wouldn't be wise to use it for too long. Well, a few hours won't kill me. Let's see how well this works. For the next several hours, Melindra and I both take full advantage of the energizing spell, and the more time passes, the more it seems like we could go on like this forever. I'm getting no signs of being tired, and even though we've had to switch positions half a dozen times due to the uncomfortable space we are in, neither of us seem to want to end the night early. When we are finally done for the night, the two of us get dressed and I prepare to go to sleep for however many hours there are left until morning. And here you were, saying you didn't come to this tournament to have fun, Melindra says with a smirk as she ties her hair up into a ponytail. Okay, fine. I'll admit it. I say, maybe a little fun isn't so bad every once in a while. That's the spirit, Melindra says with a smile. Anyway, I think it's about time to go to bed, I say. We've still got a few hours until morning, so we should try to make the most of them. What are you talking about? Melindra says, looking at me confused. You're joking, right? It's already morning. In fact, it's been morning for quite a while now. What? I ask her in disbelief. No, don't be silly. The sun isn't even up. I know that this tent is not very transparent, but we still should be able to see the rays of light when the sun rises, at least. Well, I guess then it must be really cloudy outside, Melindra says. You don't need to take my word for it. Your stat device knows the hour of the day, right? You can check it yourself. I'm telling you, it's been morning for at least 2 hours, if not more. I suddenly panic and I take my stat device out to see what hour it is. Just as Melindra said, it seems that it's already well past sunrise. As I stare at my screen, I can see the hour is clearly in front of my face, but it feels like my mind is still refusing to process the information. How did this happen? I ask Melindra. How is it morning already? I don't understand. It's only been a few hours. Time flies when you're having fun, Melindra says. Is this really the first time you've experienced an energizing spell? Don't worry, you'll get used to it eventually. I had trouble like this too the first time I cast this spell on myself, but now I don't have these sorts of problems anymore. This means that they fucked for like 8 hours. Why are you so calm about this? I ask her. I got at least an hour of sleep before you woke me up, but you didn't sleep at all. How are you going to handle... How are we going to handle ourselves after your energizing spell runs out? Oh wow, I wish magic was real. We'll be fine, Melindra says. When we start to get tired, I'll just cast the energizing spell again, and it should hold us for the rest of the day. They do, I'm sure it's illegal though. Magic Viagra. Magic Viagra that will let you keep going for like 7 to 8 hours. But aren't there supposed to be drawbacks if you cast these kinds of spells one after the other without a break? I say. Melindra says, there might be some small risk of heart failure, but I'm sure we'll manage. We're both young. Well, you're sort of young, and I'm always young, but my point still stands. We shouldn't have anything to worry about. We call them energy spells, and they're real. They said if it lasts more than a couple hours to go to the hospital. So you're talking about Viagra. Because the magic has no side effects, except for risk of heart failure, apparently. Okay, whatever. I say, we'll see about that later, but for now, can you turn yourself invisible so the others won't see you leave the tent? Oh, Melindra says, well, you see, while I may have learned that spell from Eden, the thing is that I didn't really learn a complete version of it. The spell itself works fine, but I can only cast it once a day, and I've already can't cast it once in the past 24 hours. Okay, I say. Okay, no problem. We can fix this. I can't hear anyone outside, so I don't think they've woken up yet. Flower had the last shift, if I remember correctly, so with a little luck, she might not see you when you walk out there. Hold on, let me open the tent and we'll see if the coast is clear. Wait! Melindra shouts when she sees me pull open the tent zipper. The silencing spell hasn't been cancelled yet. As I finish opening the tent, I immediately regret my decision because every single one of my teammates are currently standing several dozen feet away from me, and they're now all staring straight at me and Melindra. Oh. Right. Next chapter. Alright. We've committed to Melindra as the love interest. We can try with the other ones, but it won't work out. So that means we've successfully had 2 love interests so far because Rose died. Now remember, practice safe magic. That is the goal. Yeah, that's why Melindra doesn't cast magic much. That must be the hockey team. You regret nothing. Wait, what? I'm confused. Okay. Transfer achievements to Cloud. Oh, the whole team. Ah, it's the hockey team. Yeah, they somehow managed to get into the game. And going with M was a good idea? I'm glad you think so. This will be my first time pursuing. I did the sex scene with her, but I didn't actually, like, I went back because I regretted it, because I wanted to pursue either Rose or Layla. So this will be my first time actually pursuing her as a love interest, so we shall see how this goes. Christian, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in, welcome in. I'm gonna be ending shortly. I really appreciate you joining, though. I don't know if you were lurking throughout all of that, so I hope you liked it. Yeah. So, it has been a 6-hour stream, and I've been reading. Wow, I've been reading for 2 hours? No wonder my throat's so sore. So yeah. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Welcome in, everyone. Once again, thank you to Urkmus for the raid and the gifted sub, and I know there was a lot of other raids that happened. Christian for following, Noobmaster for following. You all are wonderful. I very much appreciate you. And well, did they follow? I don't think they followed, which is fine. They just wanted me to help them pick pick something. Kind of wish they followed so they could come back and I could ask how the duct tape and donuts prank worked out. Looks like this is smearing, so it's time. Yeah, so I don't stream over the weekend, so I will be seeing you guys on Monday. Monday and Tuesday will be the last days of this month, so if we're gonna try and reach any of the other sub goals, it will have to be on those 2 days. I hope you enjoyed this. It was fun dressing up as a cat. I like this costume. I wish I had more opportunities to wear it. And Celtic Wolf, thank you for the first time chat. You followed earlier too, didn't you? Yeah. Oh, you subscribed. Thank you for for subscribing. Wednesday will be the last day for you? The last day for what? I don't stream on Wednesdays anyways. Oh, the last day that you'll be here. Well, I won't be here. So yeah, Tuesday. Alright. On Monday, I need to come up with things for sub goals for next month. I've got a couple of ideas, but I want to end my stream now so we could discuss them. We could discuss them on Monday. If you guys have any ideas, let me know on Monday. Yeah, so have a wonderful rest of your day or night or whatever it is, wherever you are. You all are wonderful, and it's time for me to go to bed. So good night, everyone. I appreciate you all.